For victory in the bowl game, winning on first down is a must. Plus, we get into some more portal chatter right here.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, the portal season rages on as visitors are coming in at a solid pace, much better than last year. This is something that didn't talk about much because this is right when I was starting up my show, and there wasn't a whole lot of portal chatter. It was just kind of figuring out what was happening. So it's going better than last year. And Vandy adds another commit, a familiar face at running back. But what other targets are they considering? What's going on in the portal? What's happening? There's some things that are taking place behind the scenes. Guys are coming on visits, all that stuff. So what's going on? Also, this team is prepping for a bowl game versus Georgia Tech. All while they're doing this, and they must find a way to get back to winning on first down. Step one of that is establishing or reestablishing the run game. So let's get into the bowl game first, because I think with this game that's happening in a touch over a week, I think it's important to note that, you have, what needs to happen against Georgia Tech. And, we've got plenty of time to be able to give you some nuggets and some portal chatter too. So, but part of what Vandy needs to do and part of their recruiting strategy too is finding guys that can help you win on first down. Okay. And to do that offensively, you have to get back to your identity. You have to reestablish the run game, because early in the season, that was a big strength for you. Early in the season, it was 4, 5, 6 yards on first down, another 4 yards on second down, setting up third and short, or sometimes you just get the first down on second down, and you get these chunk runs. And the way you were doing it was out of different formations, different motions. You had some things that were tendency breakers as far as formations and looks goes. You did some weak side stuff as well. You had some option game that teams couldn't handle. But as the season wore on, as teams kind of figured it out, it seemed as if they got a little more conservative throughout the season. It seemed to be as if they were a little bit more cautious because, hey, these teams are reading us now. These teams know kind of what's happening. I don't know if they were doing that to save hits on Pavia. I don't know if they just couldn't quite adjust, or if the guys couldn't quite adjust and execute among the plan. But it just seemed like the confidence level, the attitude of it went down a little bit, went a little more conservatively, because they just weren't believing the same way they were in the beginning of the season. It almost seemed like they knew they were struggling to block them. They were struggling to find run lanes. They were struggling to create. Whereas at the beginning of the season, it was like, hey, we're playing with house money. We were 2-10 last year. What do we got to lose? Let's kick in the door and let's rock and roll, right? And they were just rolling down the field. I mean, that first series against Virginia Tech, they crammed it right down their throat. Cedric Alexander punched it. And it was a methodical Vanderbilt drive. Against Alabama, same thing. Against every team for the first half of the season, even on into like the Auburn game, like they would, I call it the death march. They would death march you down the field where it's like an 8-minute drive with like 14 plays, and they're just grinding you, right? They're just 5 yards here, 6 yards there, 8 yards there, 12 yards on a pass. First down, 4 yards, 6 yards. It's just moving the chains, running with confidence. The offensive line coming off and moving defenders, things like that. Like they started to kind of get away from that as more athletic defenses started coming in, like starting from Texas and on down to the end of the road. Like Tennessee had an extremely athletic defense and defensive front. LSU had a really good defensive front. South Carolina probably had one of the best defensive fronts on the schedule all year. And those teams really just kind of found a way to take away the confidence, and Vanderbilt just could not win on first down. They need to be able to reestablish the run game. They need to be able to win on first down. And that's something that's going to be important in this bowl game, because Georgia Tech defensively has a similar strategy to Vanderbilt. They're going to disrupt. They're going to do everything they can to disrupt the option game. They're not too far removed from being an option team themselves. So there's some, I think Georgia Tech knows how to play the option a little bit, because that's what they saw for years and years and years. I don't know if there's anybody that was on those Paul Johnson teams or any coaches or any staff around that was present during those years, but that's some valuable information. And I think what Vanderbilt needs to get back to doing is moving pre-snap. I think they need to get back to shifting, getting in favorable formations, and really kind of creating advantages for themselves that A, confuse the defense, and B, gives them numbers. If they can do all of that, I think that they can reestablish themselves offensively and really do some things and really do some damage on first down, so that they can open up the playbook on second down. Like if they can get to 2nd and 4, they've got a lot more possibilities, a lot more shot play opportunities, a lot more things to get the ball out on the perimeter, lots of RPO looks, things like that they can really kind of get into if they can establish the run or reestablish the run, so to speak, and win first down. That opens up a lot of possibilities. When you start to have 2nd and 10, you get kind of limited. Now you're creating Diego Pavia as a pocket passer. That's not ideal. Teams are going to key in on the sprint outs. You can only do so many of those. You can only do so many screens. You can only do so many play action shot plays. You can only do so many jet sweeps, things like that. So you have to figure out ways to get yourself opportunities to where now, hey, it's 2nd and 4. We can, we've got everything open to us. The defense is on their heels. They're, we're balanced. We can throw a lot at them. They can't pin their ears back and come get us. They can't throw these exotic looking blitzes and these confusing things where they're throwing bodies in different gaps from different areas and really confusing this offensive line. If they do that, they're setting themselves up, leaving themselves wide open for a monster play, for a big shot play. When it's 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 15, it makes it a lot easier for them to do those kind of things, because you have to get such a big chunk of yardage. You have to protect for so long to get guys down the field. It just sets you up very poorly. And when you can win on first down, it makes it a lot easier to control the clock, which is what your identity is. Control the ball, control the clock, control the field. If you can win on first down, that helps you tremendously. Now, defensively as well, I mean, this philosophy goes over to defense too. Against Georgia Tech, against teams like Georgia Tech and Vandy, who are very similar philosophy-wise on offense, they just do it a slightly different way, is defensively, you have to win on first down. So the team that can win consistently on first down on defense, I think, will have better chances of getting off the field on third down, thus creating more 3-and-outs, thus taking the ball out of their hands. So if Georgia Tech can do that to Vandy, that gives them a major advantage. If Vandy can do that to Georgia Tech, then this game could get away from them in a hurry, because their defense will get tired. Their offense will be out of rhythm, out of sync. They've lost some guys to the transfer portal too, so that doesn't make it easy. But they, defensively, they got to win on first down. So what does Georgia Tech like to do on first down? They like to run Haynes King. They like to do some RPO stuff, especially with the tight ends coming across the formation, tight ends running stick routes, speed outs, things like that, things to get the ball out quick, hitch routes, things that can get you good, fast, easy yards. If you can get four plus yards with an easy pitch and catch on first down as a quarterback in an offense that has a little bit more of a passing element, then you get your guy in a rhythm. And then when he's feeling good, he starts throwing dots. He starts throwing dimes here, there, and everywhere. And he starts getting guys involved. He starts getting a little bit of confidence. That's what happened in the Georgia game. Haynes King got very confident moving the ball down the field. He got in a rhythm. And it took Georgia the entire regulation period to get him out of that rhythm. And I don't think they really ever got them out of that rhythm. I just think they made a couple of key stops here and there, but they never really got them out of that rhythm. Against Miami, same thing with Georgia Tech. They got into rhythm. They stayed in that rhythm, and they were able to nudge that needle ahead against Miami without really ever letting them back in the game and giving them chances. Of course, Miami's a good team, so they had their chances, but Georgia Tech just kept pushing that needle a little bit. So if Vandy wants to prevent Georgia Tech from getting in a rhythm, they have to disrupt on first down. If they can disrupt on first down for several series in a row, I think that's going to put Georgia Tech's offense on their heels. They're going to start pressing a little bit, and then you might see some things, some unforced errors, some pre-snap penalties. Maybe you can force maybe you can take the ball away, turn them over a time or two, and really just kind of get them off kilter. And you can get Georgia Tech off kilter, they're cooked. All right, and their losses, that's what's happened. They've gotten off kilter, and it just gets bad. So just keep that in mind. Win on first down, establish the run. I think if you can, do that a little bit, you can show these guys that are in the portal that, hey, we're really close to being a really good football team. We just need a little help here, a little help there. And we, hey, edge guys, we need you guys to come and help us win on first down. Hey, offensive lineman, hey, Jordan White, at center, we need you to come in and help us win on first down. Hey, if Diego Pavia doesn't get Bo Pribula, John Mateer, hey, we need you to come in here and run this offense a little bit. Hey, wide receivers, it's obvious we need guys that can push the ball down the field or that can push things downfield vertically. Come on with it. We'll talk more about who those people are and what they mean next. All right, it's that time of year. The college football playoff is back. And with the newly expanded 12-team format, it is guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of college football playoff begins on December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. I think Charles Barkley is going to be on that show. It's going to be fun. And that's going to be leading into our first matchup, SMU versus Penn State, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. And don't miss a moment of the action. Watch College Football Playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Also, before all of that in the morning, if there's a joint chiropractic near you, you should go. I went, as I'm recording this on a Monday, I went earlier this afternoon, and Dr. Nolan, first of all, said I was doing pretty good with my mobility. I think the first time he cracked me really kind of set me in motion. But man, I had some tightness in my neck, my shoulders, and I was kind of a little bit offline. He got me right, man, and just crack, and I'm out of there. And dude, again, I walked out of there and I felt like I was just like, I felt like I was moving, man. I was ready to go play the bowl game. I was ready to go establish the run myself, be an old fullback and go decleat somebody on an ISO. I was ready to roll, man. But Joint Chiropractic is amazing. They have great deals on chiropractic plans, unlimited visits, limited visit selections, whatever you want to do. They have different price points for all that. So make sure you go to their website and check out those price points for yourself. I promise you won't regret it. And there's 900 locations. So there's one close to you, I'm sure. If you live in the Bellevue area here in Tennessee, you should go to that one. Dr. Nolan is there. He's the one that took care of me. This is a lot of fun. So make sure Joint Chiropractic is the place for you. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. I appreciate you picking up a couple of new subscribers. Let's keep that momentum going. Right. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC is the way to go. We squad up every Thursday with the Locked On SEC host, man. That's a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out as well. And especially if you need another show to watch or listen to after you finish listening to me. All right. Locked On SEC is the way to go. Now, portal. It's that time. It's that time of year, and for Vanderbilt, honestly, this could be a little bit of uncharted territory because, this time last year we were still trying to figure out if they really wanted Clark Lee. That was like the main thing. Like Clark Lee had just decided to take over the defense, so we just weren't sure. And I think the first recruits, the first portal signees last year was Langston Patterson and CJ Taylor and some of the guys on the roster, convincing them not to leave, right? Because they had a mass exodus and it was going to be even worse. But, Clark Lee made the first decision, created that first domino and said, hey, made sure that some of these guys stayed and, hey, trust my vision. And now look where we are. How things have changed. I think that what's important is that we're in it with a lot of big time portal guys. And that's nothing to scoff at because, for Vanderbilt to be in it with some of these portal commits is a huge deal because what do we know about Vandy? Vandy is always at the bottom of the SEC. They're always the last at the bowl. They're always the last. Hey, you get the scraps, man. You just get what's left. You're gonna, It was a big deal that we raided New Mexico State, and everybody's like, we just got, we're the Vandy State Aggie doors, right? And we got some really good players out of Vandy State. But they, it's a long way now. It's come full circle. Like we're getting, we've got a nice little pipeline to Liberty. Jordan White's on the hook. I think he's going to come here. We got already an edge rusher from Alabama. We've got a cornerback from Auburn on the hook now. We've got some guys from some legitimate programs interested in what we're doing here. We got some offensive linemen from Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State. We've got some, one from North Carolina on the hook. We had gotten an defensive end from Purdue last year, a lineman from Minnesota. Like you're starting to kind of see some of these bigger name guys saying, "Oh, Vanderbilt, very interesting what they're doing down there, and very interesting on what's happening with that program." Now fast forward to Clark Lee's Coach of the Year. Vandy's preparing for a bowl game. Two totally different two things that have changed 180 degrees from last year. He goes from lucky he got another chance to coach to now he's Coach of the Year. They're in a bowl game. Probably could have been in a better bowl game, but again, such is life. Can't rehash that. But legitimately had a chance to win 8 games. One's double overtime, and the other's Georgia State, where it was just an abomination. But it's a much different situation. So the names that are in the hat are a lot better, all right, which I think you're in it. There's a little bit of a long game with some of these bigger names. Like the smaller guys, like they visit, they're good, sign on. Like the quick ones, those aren't the game changers, right? Those aren't the ones that are going to be, yes. The only reason Pavia is because his coaches were here in Nashville, so that was just an easy transition for him. But some of the big time, some of the bigger guys are it takes time because they're visiting other places, they're considering their options, they're putting they've got legitimate NIL decisions to make, and that's nothing to scoff at, of course. But another domino fell today. McKalen Young, running back from Vandy State, actually committed back in May. Likely, it was never really publicized what happened, but it's likely that he just didn't get into school and that he was going to be a January enrollee, and so he couldn't be a part of the team. He had to hold that off. I think he probably had to complete some coursework or whatever the case was. Now he's in the mix. He's officially signed. Seems like he's admitted. We're good to go with him. All right, McKalen Young. He had a really good game against Auburn 2 years ago at New Mexico State. Scored a touchdown, had a bunch of yards. He was the third guy. They had a really talented backfield. Monty Jones was McKalen Young was the second guy in. Monty Jones was the third. But, McKalen Young, he has some really good burst. He can run. And I think he provides another element at that running back. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical, and has a little more pop to him than Cedric Alexander and definitely AJ Newberry, who are two very similar backs that can do a lot of good things. But we just need that kind of game breaker, talented, a little bit faster of a guy with a little bit more size to him to be able to create some of these run lanes, to be able to create yards when they're not there, to be able to get 3 yards when most running backs would be stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain. Like that type of thing is what McKalen Young brings to the table. And he's got a little speed to boot. So when he pops in the open field, he has a chance to take it the distance, right? Cedric Alexander, love him to death. Physical runner, did a lot for this Vanderbilt team. He's just not that. He's just not going to pop out and hit a home run. He's just not that, and that's okay. AJ Newberry is a dangerous receiver, probably our fastest guy. Monty Jones is our bruiser, Monty Jones is our bruiser. He's our kind of our hammer that you want to bring in the fourth quarter when the team's worn out. So I think we're starting to put together a pretty nice looking backfield. Not sure we're done there yet either. But what's going on at quarterback? Okay, that's a question we got to answer. We're going to answer that next. All right, sports fans, prepare to have a great weekend. Prepare to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. If you placed your $5 bet on Drake London anytime touchdown, guess what? You already hit. Now you can bet your $150 on these bowl games. So FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, like if you want to bet, as I'm recording this on a Monday night, if you want to bet this Falcons-Raiders game, by all means, check it out. And you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Also, PrizePicks. Talking about a fantasy football commercial break here. But PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 or actually 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, right? So thanks for being a valued PrizePicks partner as an experienced creator who understands. Here's what you got to do. Okay, you got to make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Like I said, you can win 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks, right? PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. It's the best place to get real money action. So join the 10 million members and sign up today. All right. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you still cash out even if your lineup is not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. That's right. You heard that right. Picksmas. So sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. How about that? PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Do you think James Cook will get more than 60 yards next week? Joe Burrow, can he pass for more than 1.5 touchdowns? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. All right, wrapping up the show here. Got a lot going on with the transfer portal, man. It's an exciting time of year because usually Vandy doesn't get to participate to this level. Usually it's Okay, well, wait till that domino falls. Oh, there's a lineman that plays at Toledo who's in the transfer portal. He's 6'3", 260 and is playing tackle. Yeah, let's go get him, right? That, that's no more. Vandy has legitimate NIL opportunity. They have a legitimate roster, a legitimate culture. Clark Lee's coach of the year. They compete in the SEC. They're going to get some weapons. Just wait. All right. But the question keeps circling, what to do at quarterback, right? What do you do? Do you wait on Diego Pavia? I mean, at this point you do. You have to. But it's getting kind of tight, right? It's getting kind of tight. And Penn State just launched a guy into the portal, or he may have launched himself, but Bo Pribula, quarterback from Penn State. If you want to watch his 2023 highlights, do yourself a favor and do that. I think you'll have fun doing that. I think you'll see what great quarterback play looks like, and you'll get to see, hey, this is a quarterback. He actually, just from watching his highlights, without watching full games of him, but he seems like he's a great fit for his skill set for what Vandy wants to do offensively under Tim Beck and Jared Kill, right? He's a better passing version of Diego Pavia. I don't know if he has the same moxie as Diego Pavia. I don't know that anybody does, except for like Tebow or like guys like that. But nonetheless, if Pavia is not coming back, which I don't know, Alan Bowman won his 8th year of eligibility. That's got to look good on the Pavia front, right? Like that's got to be a positive thing there. But for me, I know I said in yesterday's episode that, maybe you just run it back with Jeremy St. Hilaire. Well, that's before I knew, or that's before Bo Pribula declared for the portal. He's in the portal now. There's a guy in the portal that plays just like Diego Pavia, runs just as well. He throws better. And their offense really kind of clicks at Penn State with him behind center. I don't know what's going on, why he's leaving, but he would be a great fit for what Vanderbilt wants to do. So if he's an option, I think you've got to figure out a way. Now, Mateer's going to go in later, probably after the bowl game. I think he's going to declare. And I think they play on the 27th, which means he'll be able to declare right at the last minute. But with Mateer, it's like, hopefully you get a decision on Pavia before then. But like you're going to go after Mateer, which I don't think you're going to get Mateer. Honestly, I would love Mateer. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he does a lot of great things. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the portal right now. But like, you got to figure out something. You got to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to throw a redshirt freshman out there with no experience, a guy that skill-wise can do it, and Jeremy St. Hilaire? I think he's the best quarterback on the roster right now, outside of Diego Pavia, or maybe even just physically more talented than Diego Pavia. But do you go with that? Do you go with somebody that has some experience, that has been in real live major college football games? Do you go to that? Is Bo Pribula an option now? Is he somebody you put on the hook and say, all right, Bo, we may need you. Can you be patient? Because this is, they've got to be upfront with them. They've got to be honest with them. Or at this point, with it being stretched out, do they just say screw it and go get him because he's a good fit? Seemingly, it's a lot of decisions there. I still think you have to roll the dice on Diego Pavia. I still think you owe that to him, right? I still believe that. Will always believe that. But on the flip side, it just seems like the longer this thing stretches out, the more dire it gets in that regard. The more it's a no, right? Because usually when things stretch this far out, it's usually a no. But then again, crazier things have happened. Again, Alan Bowman got his 8th year, so NCAA might be like, all right, screw it. We're not even like, we're done fighting this. We're done whatever. Just give them the extra year and let's move on, right? That might be in the cards. So But anyway, Bo Pribolo, watch out for that name. That name is going to be very interesting coming down the stretch. Be very curious where he goes and winds up. So a couple of things before we get out here, because time quickly got away from me. Keep an eye on Wake Forest. Dave Clawson has stepped down, and there's some dudes there, and there's a couple of guys that they had some really nice pieces offensively, and they do something somewhat similar to what Vandy does. Damon Claiborne, running back, is somebody that I would most definitely go after if he decides to hit the portal, depending on what they do with their head coach. And that's somebody I would add because he's a baller, right? Also, Chance Fitzgerald, product out of Nolensville High School. He's a Tennessee guy from Virginia Tech. He's in the portal. He's set to visit Vandy very soon, sometime I think this weekend, actually. So he's going to visit. Maybe you can nail down a commitment from him. He played in a very talented, talent-filled wide receiver room at Virginia Tech. So that's a name to look out for as well. Offensive lineman, still waiting on some guys to hit. But Mason Murphy from USC, he visited. So we're waiting on that. And there's some other guys out there that have visited and are set up to visit. So there's some offensive linemen that are in the mix, just waiting to see kind of how it all unfolds. But that's where I'm going to leave you, and hopefully some commitments happen over the next 24 hours. The closer we get to Christmas, maybe Vandy can get a few Christmas gifts under the transfer portal tree. With that, peace out. Anchor down, behave yourselves. We'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Follow at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Peace.